to be able to talk to people with respect, dignity, and let them know that you are there to enforce rules and hold the people accountable.
And it's always easier to talk people into doing what you want than to force them.
Absolutely, than forcing them. Oh, amen.
I mean, we can force people to do stuff, but if you make a regular habit of doing that, I mean, not only is that a liability problem, but you're not gonna make a 20, 30-year career.
You're gonna have a real short career.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt. You get hurt, and you're gonna end up being the guy doing data entry that's got 2 broken legs.
Or you're gonna get your partners hurt.
Yeah.
And
make a bad name for yourself.
Yeah, and then you're not wanted. So yeah, be willing to talk to people. That's a great skill. Thank you for clearing that up.
So what can people expect? And I know that you might not have a lot of experience in rural USA with it, but we all know that the jobs start at pretty much whatever your minimum wage is going to be for the state and the area that you're at. But where there's this impression that people have that security guards are always underpaid. That it's not a job that you can really make a career from, and maybe as the guy walking around a mall whose only job is walking around a mall, that's not something you can make a career of, or the person whose only job is watching cameras in a store, that's not something you can make a career of. But there actually is ways to make a career. There's routes to make private security a career, and this is somebody that's done it. I mean, this is his house. We're in his house, and it's a nice place. I'll do some shots of it around later and put it on Instagram. But this is his house. It's a nice place. Like he makes a good living for himself in the Chicagoland area, being the director of security for several malls. Like, where's the top out where you can get in salary in this area that you're aware of while you're still interacting with people? So the guy that's not sitting behind a desk, somebody that's interacting with people, still on the floor while being a supervisor for a site.
Well, oh man. You can.
What's been your experience with it?
Well, my experience, goes from the low. You're talking numbers.
Numbers, yeah. Put it out there. What's
low? You can start out in the teens. 1,000. 15, 18,000 a year starting, and I know that sounds really sad.
That's minimum wage.
But that's minimum wage or just over. And a lot of times it's not full-time right away. You start out part-time. So being realistic, you may, 15, 18,000 a year. And then want and will and your willingness to learn new skills and start working your way up the ladder, and you let your bosses know that you're willing and capable, you can start working your way up, and positions unarmed now. I'm gonna go with the staying unarmed.
So not the guys that are the SWAT team at the nuclear facility that were Army Rangers
that's
before.
That's different.
Anyway.
Yeah, those are that's going to be pretty well paid in most cases. But I myself worked up in the high 70s, in a relative short time. I was with the right company, got the right opportunities,
with the right attitude,
and reasonable skill set. There is no such thing as perfection, but you have the will to strive and show that you're capable and willing, and you do the hard work. I'm very proud to say that I worked myself into a high $70,000 a year job, and could still go forward. Positions out there like mine, pay even more depending on the size of the property that you're securing, the number of people. I myself have overseen roughly 55 to 60,000 hours of service in a year's time. That was my sole responsibility to oversee those many hours. Unfortunately, not everyone that gets in this line of work is going to land in that particular type of position. Not that they can't, but a lot of times once people get in those positions like myself, we don't want to leave them. So you got to wait for us guys to die and go away.
But there's people that are in organizations that are extraordinarily lucrative.
They're six figures.
Oh yeah, like if you get the contract. I met the guy one time that did. I forget his name. I wish I could remember his name now, but he does He's the head of security for United Center. I actually had to call him one time because they have different procedures for cops coming in if they're armed, whether depending on who's going to be there that night, whether you can just walk in with it or you have to lock it up, and like they got different procedures that they do depending on who's going to be there that night. And I had to call and I was talking with him, and you want to talk about money. That's an organization that has money that's willing to pay for the best. So there are places like security doesn't have to be a dead end job if you have the will to get better at it and to advance in a company. It's like any other company.
Absolutely.
You could be the person that starts out checking people out at McDonald's and then be a district executive for McDonald's in 10 or 15 years.
You can end up owning your own McDonald's.
Yeah.
Many people who start out in this field end up making the right connections. Many utilize the right security company, the right job, post, duty, to use it as a stepping stone into law enforcement.
Which can sometimes be a step up or down in ending pay.
It can, but thankfully nowadays, more and more law enforcement are making better money. They're not making really what they deserve, of course, but they're making better money than they used to many years ago, which is part of the reason I didn't continue my path in law enforcement. I went into the private sector because I made more money. Sometimes I regret that, but at the end of the day, I don't. But this industry can be quite lucrative, but that's on you. It's on you as the individual to do the right thing, represent yourself properly at all times, off duty as well as on duty. A lot of people forget that. They go off and they act stupid, and then wonder why their career their past slowly takes a turn for the worse. It's because when you do things that you shouldn't be doing off duty, catch up with you. So understand, you don't have to be a goody two-shoe and all that, but you got to understand when you represent an authoritative figure and you're in a position to be authoritative over others, people want to hold you accountable, whether you're off duty or not. And we all know we live in an age where everybody has cameras on their phones, and they like catching cops, people in uniform doing things that they shouldn't be doing, even if they're out of uniform, and they know that they are a person, who carries that duty.
Sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. I work for IPC Security on your Facebook, and you got an open account, and then you start posting dumb things on there that most people would find unsavory, and you get yourself into trouble.
And your company will hold you accountable.
Because you're representing them. Once you put on there you work for them, you're representing them.
And you're taking pictures of yourself in uniform.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. Cover yourself up when you're off duty. And there's laws. If you're armed, there's certain laws in different states that are very specific of what you can and cannot do before and after your duty. So, Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, and again, he might be able to add to this, but you got an hour before and an hour after to get your butt home and get that gun off. You don't be going to restaurants and clubs and hanging out. Yeah. So be smart. Be respectful of what it's all about. Educate yourself as much as you can, and get out there and try to make a difference.
All right, so this is Randy. Randy, I'm going to put all of his LinkedIn and maybe his email or something else. We'll work out contact information for Randy. I'm going to put that down in the description. And he is somebody that you should hook up with. If you are on LinkedIn, you're in the Chicagoland area, please hook up with Randy and make connections with him. He's always looking for business opportunities, so if you have a business opportunity you want to discuss with him, you're looking for a director of a site or a training advisor or anything involved with the private security industry, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was starting my own company tomorrow, he is probably the first person I would call. And I would put him in charge of something. And I would work out how to pay for him, but I would put him in charge of something because I steal so many ideas from him for the channel and in my own work and stuff, and he is a consummate actual security professional. There's nobody I'd rather work with. So hook up with him on LinkedIn and with his contact information down below. And until next week, you guys be safe and take care of each other.
Thanks all. Be safe.
I'd like to thank all the Patreon supporters, and especially the shift supervisor level Patreon supporters that we have listed here. Your contributions are what allows free field training to continue on and become better. Thank you.
But to make me cry,